The applause erupts before my brain catches up to what's happening. I'm sitting in the conference room, watching everything collapse in slow motion. My spreadsheets are still spread across the table in front of me. The ones I stayed until midnight finishing. The ones with my handwriting in the margins where I worked through the math 3 times to make sure it was perfect. My strategy. My numbers. My voice still echoing from the presentation I just finished 5 minutes ago. And then Bradley stands up. My manager. My boss. The man who told me last week that I still had a lot to learn about executive presence, whatever that means. The man who promised me 3 months ago that if I worked hard on this expansion proposal, we'd present it together. He said those exact words. I remember because I underlined them in my notebook. He walks to the front of the conference room and accepts the promotion. The one I built from nothing. The expansion strategy that came from my late nights and weekend research. The investor relationship that I developed when he was playing golf with his friends. Every Friday at 3 o'clock, he'd leave the office. Every Friday I'd stay at my desk. His hand is on the microphone. His smile is wide and confident like he just solved world hunger. The executives are clapping like he's a genius. Like he invented business itself. I can see the CEO nodding with this expression of deep respect, like Bradley is exactly what the company needed all along. I watch him stand there, wearing my ideas like a borrowed suit that somehow fits him better than it fits me. My notes are scattered across the conference table. My pen is still there. My handwriting visible in the corners of those papers. Everyone can see my work. Nobody mentions it. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Call coming in. A number I don't recognize. It's been ringing for 3 days now, and Bradley finally sees it. I've been ignoring it because I was focused on this presentation. Focused on proving myself. He glances down at his phone, sees the caller ID light up, and silences it without even looking twice. He just swipes it away like it's nothing. Like whatever this is doesn't matter. Like nobody important would be calling during this moment. That vibration in my pocket. That call he just rejected. It will matter more than he could possibly know. It will change everything. The CEO is shaking his hand now. I watch them grip hands like brothers, like they're sharing some secret that I'm too junior to understand. I watch Bradley's confidence grow with every word of praise. Visionary, she says to him. Her voice is warm and approving. Exactly what we needed to take this company to the next level. Your strategic thinking is remarkable. My hands stay on the table. My smile stays frozen. My heart is still beating, but something inside me stops defending. Stops explaining. It stops hoping that he'll eventually do the right thing and tell the truth. Everything just shifted. Everything just changed. And I finally understand that I'm on my own. 2 weeks before this nightmare moment, that same call came through on a Tuesday afternoon. Vincent was heading to a golf meeting with a potential investor. Someone from outside our company who wanted to explore expanding our services into new markets. I didn't even know who this investor was. He never told me their name. He never explained why they were interested. He just mentioned it in passing like it was the least important thing happening that day. He mentioned it casually over lunch like it was absolutely nothing. Just another golf outing. Something he did every other week to network and build relationships. He was already reaching for his jacket, already mentally checking out of work, when he told me that if any calls came in while he was gone, I should just take a message. Don't worry about it too much, he said with a wave of his hand. Just keep them on the line and I'll follow up when I get back. It's probably nothing important anyway. Told him okay. I didn't think twice about it. Why would I? He was the manager. He was the one with relationships and connections. I was just the person who did the work. Then the call came through at 2:47 p.m. What started as a routine check-in turned into a 2-hour conversation that changed everything about how I understood my job. The investor wasn't calling for small talk or to reschedule a meeting. They wanted specifics. Real, detailed, technical specifics. Revenue projections for the next 5 years. Market penetration strategies. Growth timelines. Competitive analysis. They wanted to understand how we would actually execute an expansion, not just dream about it in a golf cart. I didn't have all the answers immediately. Some of them I had to think through while we were still on the call. But I knew where to find them. I knew exactly where to find them because I had built the spreadsheets myself. I had run the analyses myself. I had spent weeks on these numbers because I wanted to understand our business deeply, not just perform tasks and collect a paycheck. I didn't claim credit during that call. I never said I did this or I built that. I simply explained the work. I answered their questions. I promised to follow up with detailed documents. I wrote down their concerns on a notepad and assured them I would address each one specifically. After we hung up, I immediately documented everything. Every question they asked. Every answer I gave them. Every number I referenced and promised to clarify. I created a detailed summary with my analysis attached and sent it to Vincent that evening with a note that said, "Here's the recap of the investor call. Let me know if you need anything else or if you want to take the next conversation yourself." He replied at 9:47 p.m. with one single line. "Good catch. Keep pushing on this." That was it. No thanks. No acknowledgement that this was real work. No great job handling this. Just good catch, like I'd found a typo in an email or spotted a mistake in a report. Like this was a minor thing I'd done. Now, standing outside the conference room after my presentation just ended, I understand something that makes my stomach feel cold and empty. He didn't just steal the promotion. He stole the entire strategy and never once mentioned the conversation I had with that investor. Never acknowledged the groundwork I laid. Never gave credit to the person who actually built this thing from the ground up. He presented it in that conference room like it came from his own brain. Like he had imagined it. Like he had worked on it late into the evening. Like the numbers were his calculations and the strategy was his vision. And nobody in that room knew the truth. I close my eyes for 1 second, and I feel clarity spreading through me like ice water through my veins. I still have everything. I stand up and I shake his hand. Smile. I do not confront him. I do not raise my voice or call him out in front of his new peers and the executives. That would be satisfying for maybe 3 seconds and then it would be done. Over. Finished. Forgotten by tomorrow morning when everyone moved on to the next crisis. Instead, I walk back to my desk and I open a folder I've been quietly building for weeks. Not aggressively. Not with anger. Just methodically. Emails. Screenshots. Metrics. Logs. Timelines. Everything documented and organized chronologically. Everything dated and verified and impossible to dispute. I have receipts for everything. This wasn't the moment I lost. This was the moment I stopped defending myself and started building proof. Vincent stops by my desk on his way to celebrate with the other executives. He wants to celebrate. He wants to enjoy this. He thanks the team for making this possible, for supporting him, for believing in his vision. Never my name. He doesn't say my name once. He pats my shoulder like I'm a loyal dog who helped him fetch his trophy from a high shelf. The gesture is meant to be kind. It's patronizing instead. "You did great up there," I tell him. My voice is completely calm and professional. My words are true in a way he doesn't understand yet. He beams. He absolutely glows. He thinks he's won everything. He thinks he's untouchable. Vincent leans on my desk the next morning like we're old friends sharing a private joke. He tells me he couldn't have done this without all of you. He mentions the team by name. Every single name. His words comes out first. His buddies from the golf trips, the executives' favorites. My name lands last. Almost as an afterthought. Almost like he forgot I was supposed to be part of this story. "Congratulations," I say to him. "You earned this." He laughs. He actually laughs like I'm being completely sincere and genuine. Then he asks me something that makes everything worse and everything clearer at the same time. He wants me to walk him through my strategy again. The one he just presented to the board. The one he claimed as his own discovery just yesterday. He's already forgetting the details. He didn't understand it when he stole it, and he understands it even less now. "I'll send you everything," I tell him quietly. You're going to need solid documentation to move this forward. You're going to need to explain these numbers to the board, and you'll need to have all the details memorized. He nods like this is obvious, like this is exactly what he expects, like it's my job to make sure he can do his new job correctly. I start a new section in my documentation folder. His first leadership meeting is a disaster wearing a business suit and expensive shoes. Bradley presents my plan, but something is wrong. It's diluted. It's watered down. He's missed the key market pressures. The timing is fuzzy and uncertain. The expansion timeline doesn't account for vendor relationships that take months to build. He presents my strategy like he's translating it from a language he barely speaks, and every person in that room can sense it. They can feel the uncertainty. Executives nod politely, professionally, but I can read their body language. They look unconvinced. They're not buying what he's selling. He's confident, absolutely certain in his delivery, and fundamentally wrong about almost everything. I sit at my seat and I listen. I watch him fumble through questions he should know the answer to. Questions about basic assumptions. Questions about why I made specific choices. He doesn't know the reasoning because he never did the work. One executive, a woman named Rebecca from the board, asks a specific technical question about market elasticity and how that impacts our revenue projections. She's looking for details and depth that don't exist anywhere in his presentation because they were buried in my original notes. The notes he glanced at once before stealing them. Bradley opens his mouth. I can see him searching his brain like he's looking for keys in a dark room. His eyes dart around the conference table. He's buying time. He's panicking. I start to respond. It's instinct. I know this answer. I've lived with this answer. I've thought about this answer in the shower and in the car and while eating lunch alone at my desk. Bradley cuts in quickly with something that's technically close to correct but fundamentally wrong in ways that matter. He's off by a decimal point that means everything in the world of revenue projections. Small error multiplies. A small error becomes $1 million problem. I think it's actually 1.3%, not 1.9, I say quietly. My voice is gentle. Almost like I'm helping him. Almost like I'm saving him. That changes the quarterly forecast significantly. The room goes quiet. Someone writes notes. I watch them write. I watch them circle something on their notepad. Rebecca's eyes sharpen like she just noticed something important. Something that doesn't add up. Something that makes her think about what else might be wrong with this picture. Bradley's face doesn't change much, but I see it. His jaw tightens. Just barely. Just enough that I know he's aware something broke. After the meeting ends, Rebecca pulls me into a hallway outside the conference room. She's kind about it. Professional. But her words carry weight that Bradley will never understand. He feels threatened, she tells me quietly. Her voice is low enough that nobody else can hear. I've seen this pattern before in companies. Threatened people don't think straight. I thank her and I walk away. But her warning does something unexpected inside me. It shows me that Bradley is already panicking, already afraid. Threatened people don't think straight. They rush. They make mistakes. They slip up. They leave evidence everywhere because they're moving too fast to be careful. That evening, I receive a calendar invite I wasn't supposed to see. Bradley forwarded something to HR, and my email got looped in by accident before he realized and corrected it. The meeting subject line is clear and direct. Performance review, confidential. My heart stops for 1 second. I save that invite immediately. Over the next few days, I start cross-referencing everything. The calendar invite. The emails. The timelines of his previous projects before he became my manager. What I find makes me feel cold. This isn't his first promotion. This isn't his first time doing this. The pattern is visible if you know where to look and you have the courage to look. Projects that launched under other people's names, then suddenly became his responsibility once they started getting attention. Team members who left unexpectedly and without explanation. Good people who vanished from the company like they never existed. I pull up old organizational charts, employee records, promotion histories from 5 years ago. Bradley doesn't create strategy. He doesn't invent solutions. He absorbs them. He watches other people work and then he takes the credit when the work becomes valuable. And I am not his first target. I am just the first person who documented it. I find her on LinkedIn. Her name is Priya. She was a top performer here 3 years ago, according to the old org chart. Her profile says she left for new opportunities, but that's corporate speak for something worse. Reach out. I ask her to meet for coffee. When we sit down at a cafe near the office, she tells me everything. And I mean everything. Stolen credit, block promotions, growth opportunities that mysteriously disappeared. A promotion that should have been hers was promised to her, given to Bradley instead. She filed a complaint with HR. Disappeared. Within 2 weeks, her complaint vanished from the system like it was never filed. She tried to push back. She asked for clarification. Suddenly her projects were reassigned. Her budget was cut. Her access to important meetings was revoked. She realized she was drowning and she got out before the water went over her head completely. He's a parasite, she tells me across the table. Her voice is bitter but resigned. And HR protects him because he makes the numbers look good. The company doesn't care how the numbers get made, just that they get made. Just make sure you have proof of everything before you say anything. Proof that they can't deny or make disappear. Listen. I don't react. I don't get angry on her behalf. Then she mentions something that changes everything. An HR file that documented her complaint. A file that should have been saved. A file that vanished. Within a week of her submission, the file was gone. Deleted. Erased from the system. Bradley has protection somewhere. Someone in HR is helping him. I submit a formal request to HR for my complete performance records. Everything. Every review. Every email exchange about projects. Every evaluation. What comes back is a folder of documents that tells a story Vincent definitely doesn't want told. My reviews glow with praise. Exceptional attention to detail. Strategic thinker. Invaluable to the team. Metrics are undeniable. Numbers that prove I'm the engine driving this company forward and Vincent is just the person steering, and he barely understands which direction we're actually going. But one thing is missing. Call log. The record of that investor conversation from 2 weeks ago. The conversation that launched this entire expansion strategy. The conversation that changed everything. It's gone from the company records. Completely gone. Someone deleted it intentionally. Someone with access. Someone who knew what they were doing. I don't panic. I don't call HR and demand answers. I don't confront Bradley. Instead, I reach into my personal records. My personal phone logs. Everything I documented myself because I've learned through this experience that companies aren't always honest keepers of truth. It's all there. The investor call. The follow-up emails. The projections I sent. The analysis documents. My name on every message. The investor's follow-ups specifically asking for my analysis, not Bradley's interpretation of what I did. I have proof that doesn't depend on the company to keep it safe. And then the investor calls again. This time I answer. This time I'm calm and direct. I clarify facts without accusation. I don't say, your boss stole this from me. I simply confirm what actually happened. Who was on the original call? Who developed the strategy? Who the investor has been communicating with for follow-up questions? The investor's tone shifts immediately. I can hear it in her voice. Wait, she says. You're the one who developed this plan. You're the one who did all of this analysis. Yes, I tell her. I'd like to clarify that for your records. I want to make sure you know who you're actually working with. There's a long pause. I can hear her pulling up her own files on her end, cross-referencing what she thought was true with what's actually documented to be true. I need to speak to your CEO directly, she says finally. Her voice has changed. Sharper now. More professional. More serious. And I need to hear this story directly from your company leadership. Not through a middleman. The investor connects me to someone quietly. Off the books. Not through official channels. a board-level advisor who specializes in helping companies identify and remove leadership problems before they destroy the organization. The meeting is scheduled during Vincent's keynote presentation to regional offices. He'll be out of the building for hours. Nobody will notice me gone. Nobody will question where I am. The advisor listens to everything I've documented. She takes detailed notes. She asks specific follow-up questions. She wants to understand the timeline, pattern, evidence. At the end, she gives me one instruction that's perfectly clear. Compile everything you have. Clean format. No emotion. No angry language. Just evidence laid out in order. Just facts. Let the facts speak. I already have it all ready. Bradley notices something's changed. He becomes hypervigilant. He starts micromanaging in a way he never did before. He needs to know where I am every moment, why I'm in meetings with people he doesn't know, who I'm communicating with. His smiles get thinner, forced. His deadlines become unreasonable and shift constantly. He assigns me tasks that don't make logical sense, like he's testing my patience or trying to create a paper trail of mistakes he can point to later. I do the work perfectly anyway. Everything gets done. Everything exceeds expectations. And then HR requests a formal check-in with me. I sit across from someone in HR I've never met before. Her name is Alicia. Her questions are vague, careful, strategic, like she's fishing but pretending she's not looking for anything specific. How would you describe your working relationship with Bradley at this point? Professional, I answer. We work well together. Have you ever had any concerns about how projects are attributed to team members or leadership? Not concerns exactly, I say carefully. Just observations about how credit gets assigned. Would you be willing to document those observations for our records? I don't smile. I don't react with anger. Just nod. I already have, I tell her. Everything is documented. Her eyes widen. Just barely. But I see it. I submit everything the next morning. Organized, indexed, clean. No emotions. No accusations. No angry language. Just evidence arranged in perfect chronological order, so clear that a child could follow it. So undeniable that even someone trying to protect Bradley would have trouble explaining it away. The investor call log. The emails I sent. The projections I developed. The analysis I did. The presentation Bradley gave using my work word for word. The deleted call log from the company records. The pattern with Priya from 3 years ago. The emails showing Bradley asked me to send him documentation just so he could memorize what to present. Everything. By afternoon, Bradley's meeting with the board is cancelled. No explanation given. His calendar just shows a blank space where his meeting used to be. Nobody tells him why. Nobody explains what's happening. He's just left sitting in uncertainty. I'm invited to present the strategy from the ground up. No interruptions this time. The board listens completely differently when they understand the complete truth. I walk them through every decision point, every calculation, every assumption, why I made specific choices about market entry, why certain timelines made sense. Why the investor specifically wanted to work with someone who understood this deeply. The silence that follows is different from the applause that followed Vincent's presentation. This silence means something. This silence means understanding. Then the questions come. Smart questions from people who now grasp that something was hidden from them. They want to understand how this happened. How attribution got confused. How the wrong person ended up leading something they didn't create. Someone asks directly, why isn't she leading this entire project? There's no answer that makes sense anymore. Leadership confronts Bradley in a closed-door meeting. I'm not in the room, but I hear about it later from Rebecca. He claims confusion. He says there was miscommunication somewhere. He suggests that I should have been clearer about my specific role and contributions. But the data disagrees with every word he says. Every single word. The investor formally requests a presentation. Specifically by me. Not Bradley. Not the team. Me individually. She wants to work with the actual architect of the plan, the person who understands this work deeply. I present to the investor and the board together in a formal setting. The numbers land cleanly. The strategy makes complete sense. The board sees the person who understands this work inside and out. The person who can answer any question. The person who planned this weeks before anyone else even knew it was possible. Silence follows when I finish. Then approval comes. Budget approved. Timeline approved. Expansion moving forward with confidence. But there's one more thing happening behind closed doors. The board votes privately about leadership structure. Bradley gets placed on administrative leave. It's official. His email access is revoked immediately. His office is locked. His badge doesn't work. His smile finally cracks when he realizes this isn't a misunderstanding that gets cleared up in a meeting. This is ending. He tries to call me that evening. I let it go to voicemail. He leaves a message trying to explain. Trying to minimize what happened. Trying to negotiate his way out of the truth. I delete it without listening to the end. I don't answer when he calls again. I never needed to. The proof spoke louder than any argument I could make. The evidence was crystal clear. The pattern was undeniable. Silence, I learned, is more powerful than anger. It says, "You don't matter enough to argue with." An all-hands meeting is scheduled for the next morning. Restructuring. The CEO announces it formally to the entire company. Credit corrections. Past projects are being redocumented to reflect accurate attribution. Names are being added. Names are being removed. Bradley's name disappears from documents. Quietly. Completely. Like he was a ghost all along. My name appears exactly where it actually belongs. The team watches. Some people nod like they always knew something was wrong. Others look uncomfortable, realizing they believed a lie. Then the CEO calls my name. Asks me to stand. I'm offered the role officially. Not inherited from someone else. Not taken while someone sleeps. Earned through evidence. Through truth. Through refusing to accept erasure. The salary is higher. The authority is expanded. Title is mine. The position is real. I glance at the empty seat where Vincent used to sit. The chair is already being cleared out. Someone is already boxing up his things. He clears his desk quietly on a Friday afternoon. No goodbye speech. No allies who defend him. No support system. Just a man packing a cardboard box and walking out of the building. His security badge is deactivated. His phone is collected. His email is archived. He disappears like he was never really there. I delete his contact information that evening. Not in anger. Just in closure. I don't need it anymore. Months later, the expansion thrives. The investor becomes a long-term partner. The company grows because truth was allowed to exist. Our first quarter numbers exceed projections by 18%. The board credits the strategy. They credit the execution. They credit me. I lead transparently. I credit the work to the people who actually do it. I don't steal. I don't hide. I don't build my success on someone else's erasure. When a junior team member contributes an idea, their name goes in the presentation. When someone works late finishing a report, I acknowledge it publicly. I've built a culture where people actually want to come to work because they know their contributions matter. The team respects it. They see what fairness looks like. They understand that their contributions matter. Turnover in my department dropped by 40% in the first 6 months. People are staying. People are investing in the work because they know they'll get credit for it. I learned something that Bradley never understood. People who steal credit depend on silence to survive. They need victims who don't fight back. They need systems that look the other way. They need people who prioritize peace over truth. The moment someone documents everything and refuses to disappear, the entire game collapses. Became undeniable. Not through revenge. Not through anger. Not through confrontation. Through documentation. Through evidence. Through refusing to disappear quietly into someone else's shadow. Every day I showed up and did my work better than anyone else could. Every single day. The best revenge wasn't making him fall. It was rising high enough that he couldn't reach me anymore. It was becoming so valuable and so visible that nobody could ever erase me again. It was building something so successful that my name became synonymous with excellence. I still think about Bradley sometimes. I wonder where he is. I wonder if he learned anything from what happened. But mostly I don't think about him at all because I'm too busy building something real. And I sleep well knowing that truth, eventually, always wins.